1, 2, 3. Hi. Okay. So Sam is, everybody can hear me? Yes? Awesome. Sam is driving right now, so he should call in and be able to talk to us that way in a little bit, but we're going to go ahead and get started here in just a minute. We'll give Mark a couple more minutes. Did folks see the email I sent out about a half hour ago with that update? Awesome. Okay. Marge, you're muted.
Okay. Can I ask a quick question
Yeah.
of Corey?
Hi,
Hi, how you doing?
Good.
I'm just wondering, because we're going to be discussing this in a minute, but the website and having public comment be more accessible. And I'm just wondering if you're involved in any way. Like, I know Daniel's kind of spearheading it, but maybe, since it's a web page issue, I just was a little curious about how the county was organized. I guess that's the nature of my question.
Yeah, I kind of have oversight, I guess, of the entire website. We're actually going to be updating our website, which is going to be a huge project. So I'm aware of it, but the individual departments have ownership of their website, and then so I'm just tracking what's going on. But I am able to post anywhere as needed. So I know that they're working on converting those documents to PDF and posting making it accessible to the public. The emails for the solid waste process work group, Brandon County Talks Trash. The other thing I'm glad you prompted me, because I wanted to let you folks know that I have a meeting with the county administrator at 4, but I wanted to jump in here anyway, so I apologize for that. But if you guys have any questions for me or need anything from me, was hoping that we could cover that on the front end of the meeting.
Yeah, why don't we start with that then? We can give our updates from the subcommittees once Corey has skedaddled, but if people have like pressing questions that have come up as they've been working on their stuff, we should address those now.
Yeah, and I will say I did see the historical document that the group is working on putting together, and that's really great information. So I appreciate you guys working that. I'll also say that we continue to provide consistent information about the work group meetings. Those were bi-weekly, but now in coordination with those meetings, we're always posting on social media and sending out to our email distribution list, and periodically also we send it to our media partners who are already subscribing to our email list, but periodically we'll also send that out on Flash Alert, which is how we send information to the media. Also wanted to let you guys know that I followed up on some things that we talked about in one of our meetings. One was potentially doing a mailer. I will say that was actually quite a bit more expensive than I thought it was going to be. The prices on those have gone up quite a bit in the last few years. So I don't know how interested we are in doing that, but there may be other outreach opportunities, or it is possible that we could do it, but it's more expensive than I thought. So I'm just have concerns about spending that much on it. So I want to be a good steward of the taxpayer dollars as well. And then circling back, I know we had talked about a survey as well, and then providing you guys with information about how we've been doing communications. So I did put together some information about how we can socialize a potential survey that I can share with the group. And I'm also prepared to share information about how we've been conducting our consistent outreach.
Okay. Is this a document that you've done since the last work group meeting? This new information you've compiled about outreach?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, definitely send that to us so we can look at it.
I think I may have sent that to you guys. I can do that again. So it's just a kind of a recap. I mean, as far as outreach for a survey goes, this is something that we've already done in the past. So I guess we kind of have a template for it, or a pre-developed communication plan, which is to share the survey, a couple times, at least a couple times while it's open, usually a couple weeks apart, on all of our communication channels, and also sharing it with partners who can share it on their communication channels. So examples of the communication channels that we use in Benton County would be Facebook for the health department, sheriff's office, and our board of commissioners office, Instagram, Nextdoor. We have 3 Nextdoor channels. We have our flash alert, which we send out to the media. We have our email subscriber list. We have an organic list that has, I think, 7,500 subscribers. We have specific lists. So we have one for the solid waste process work group. We have one for our justice system improvement program. We have a LinkedIn channel that we would probably share that on. Twitter. Anyway, I think I might be leaving some out, but it's just those, of course, our website. But we can really, when we do that, so our last survey that we put out through those channels, I think we maybe had 400 people take the survey, which is really good. And then we can have other partners share it as well. So I'd like to at least try to see if we can beat that amount on the next one.
And just to clarify, are these methods that you're describing, is this really similar to what was used for the last CUP outreach?
No, this was the last survey I promoted was for the JSIP.
Okay.
These are standard communication channels that we use for public outreach and awareness campaigns through the county. And then, if we want to get creative, we can do other things. We could set up an event or set up a display somewhere where we could encourage people to take the survey. There's other things that we can do.
Can I just interrupt for 1 second?
Yeah.
Would it be easy for you to send a link to Mark Henkel's? Would that be easy for you to do, Amelia?
Oh, to send him a new link for the meeting?
Just send him a new link. Yeah. I'd have to look for the email. Yeah, I'm sorry, Corey.
Oh,
no problem. No problem.
Yeah, or we definitely have that information. Mary and I have it. The Benton County outreach plan. We have that.
Oh, did I already?
Yeah.
Maybe that already got sent out.
I mean, we have one, maybe there's something more too, but we definitely have one.
Well, one of the documents was just, again, sharing all our standard channels that we use. And it's usually pretty effective. One example would be, if it's a call to action, depending on what it is, like maybe we're trying to get job applicants and we're working with our human resources department. We'll definitely usually get at least a few applications just from doing that type of outreach. Or when we were trying to get folks to do the landfill tours, we saw a significant spike when we started pushing our information out that way. So from folks who I don't know if they otherwise would have attended. So it's pretty effective. Again, we did it for a survey previously, and that was really the only outreach we did, and we had a few hundred participants for that.
Well, Louisa, Mary, you guys have been kind of spearheading the public outreach stuff and are the most well-versed in this material right now. What's your thoughts?
I think first, I think we've already seen the 2 documents that he was referring to. And it seems like we should use some of the ideas there and maybe add some of our own. Because I'm not sure if you answered the question, but what were the techniques used with the last CUP communication? Like, were they the same, or do you know what those techniques were that were used?
I don't know if we used social. I think we just used our social media channels really for that. I mean, we can. What specific information? Here's the way I'm thinking about it: is a lot of times if we have a whole bunch of information, it's difficult to share it in a way that's consumable through those channels for the general public that doesn't know as much about this topic. So what are the specific, is there a link to more information that we could share? And I'm looking for a way that we can present it to the general public in a way that they can easily understand, and that might kind of have a hook to be interesting.
One example that I had in my notes that I sent out was, I know it's Multnomah County, which has way more money than Benton County, but they had a project that they were doing, and they had a online open house. So as part of it was, and then it had like its own kind of link or website. I don't know. I'm not like a super computer techie person, but where the public could go to that and learn all the information, kind of like just go in there and ask questions. I didn't look at it super closely, but something like that wouldn't be, probably cost money, I'm sure, for someone to create it, but maybe might be less expensive than mailing to everyone, and could be pretty effective, I would think. But there's things like that that might connect with more people, possibly.
Are we looking to share the survey and the final report? Are those the 2 main objectives with it, or with as many people as possible?
Yeah, so definitely those 2, and I think also the CUP filing when that happens, as well as CUP completion. So we have like a list of things that we'd want to notify. Obviously, some of them are more important than others, but like obviously the report we have, and then a few other things.
Okay, this is doable. When you say a few other things, that's the part where I start kind of worrying a little bit. I don't want to oversaturate our channels with too much information. I think we could definitely send all of this stuff to our email subscriber list for the Benton County Toxic Trash Solid Waste Process Work Group. For the CUP filing and completion, and then the survey and the final report, we could potentially, that could potentially be as simple as you guys keeping me in the loop and sharing the information with me in coordination with our community development leadership. And we could just share that information through all of our communication channels like we normally would do for something that's important.
Yeah, but that would be the county that the county and Republic Services need to be on that CUP, because we don't know. Republic Services will just file one day, and either well, it should be the county, that the moment the county gets a filing from Republic Services, the population should be notified.
Yeah,
That's the way it's always been in the past.
So if it's, and I'll talk with our community development leadership about this, but if it's open source public information, I don't see any reason why we can't just execute our normal template for a communication plan that we would do, which is to share it through all of our channels that we have available at the county, and then also with partners to ask them to share it as well.
Yeah.
And then I'm sure that media will want to pick that up. So there's a good chance that local media will share the information as well, because we'll send it to them.
But I think one of the main things, in my opinion, was to communicate with the public and get public input before the CUP application is put in. So having some sort of communication and way for them to have input ahead of time, because the 150 days is too short. So that's why like a public, like an open house or something like that is needed, is what I thought we were working on.
What's the call to action if we do something like that?
So I just want to, sorry, someone going to say something? I don't want to talk over.
I was just saying that the call to action would be to like fill out a survey or give their public get to give their thoughts. Just to start with that,
Yeah.
I would say that's.
Yes, that sounds right to me, Mary. I do want to jump in and just reaffirm that part of the subcommittee's role was to create a proposal for communication really in general with projects like this that the county is working on. So this is like this CUP project, and then CUPs going forward, and also about, different stages of that project. At the last work group meeting, we did present kind of a breakdown of the different types of things that we want to maybe notify people about and how people would be notified about these different topics. And I'm happy to pull that up if that would help kind of as a reference for what we're thinking when the subcommittee is talking about the different things that we would notify for. Not
that would be
everything
great.
needs to be.
That'd be great. And this is really helpful. I mean, I think we're on the right track, because when I do this stuff, I look at coming up with a process plan or document that we can follow. So if we come up with a plan that says, we're going to share like we normally would do through all of our county communication channels when the CUP filing happens, the CUP completion, and then our outreach plan before that happens. But so the CUP filing, completion, survey, and final report, I think we can share that information through our channels. And then as far as doing some sort of outreach before the filing happens, that's something I definitely need to coordinate with Sam and the community development team on. But if it's a priority, I think it's reasonable to say that we could do some sort of event for that and ask folks to attend and have a call to action, which is to have them provide input and specifically take the survey. My apologies, because I'm not the subject matter expert in this area, because I'm trying to cover all of what the county is doing for all of our departments. So I probably don't have as much knowledge as I should. So you guys can help inform me as well. My job is to make sure that we're getting all the information out the right way. We don't know when the CUP filing is going to happen, correct? Is anybody familiar with that process?
I don't think we're aware of that yet, no.
No, we have, Republic Services has not finalized a date for filing a CUP. Right now our focus is this process, which goes until, I believe, at least the end of March, based on the most recent timeline I saw.
So we would need to do it before the end of March. and we have it, the concern I have too, and I'll just be open about it, is we have a number of other events right now that we're doing for our justice system improvement program project. So I have to coordinate timing as well. And yeah, I mean, if we did something before the end of March, that would potentially suffice, regardless of when it is, if as long as it's before the end of March.
Yeah, go ahead, Mark.
So I'm just curious, when they do file the CUP, is there a timeline on that process? So we could have a vision of the whole thing. I can see where this is supposed to go till March, which is assume they file in April. The CUP process itself should have a timeline. Is that correct? For hearings and things?
I mean,
Yes,
I
there
know
is,
minimal.
county
but
rules and
yeah.
regulations do specify a specific process. And I know it's, I think it's overall, I think it's a 150-day process, maybe from, start to finish. I'd need to check with legal on that, because honestly, I don't know all the details of it, but I do know that there is something codified in Benton County's rules and regulations about how that
I
plays out.
think that's right. I think I remember hearing that.
Mark, I know there's so much information, but there is a document that legal actually wrote up for us to use as a reference, and it does say it has all that information. I'm not an expert on it, but it was, like 150 days. And then the CUP, and then for public services or whoever's doing the CUP can ask, or if it's not complete, then they can take more time. So it doesn't always end up being 150 days, but that's kind of the basic first amount do you know what I mean? Like something might happen and it's not complete, so they get more time to get the information. And there's a lot of legal junk that I don't understand, but there is an information document on that, right, Amelia?
Yes.
If I'm saying your name right up there.
No, you're good. Sorry, yeah, I'm in Sam's office on his computer right now, so that's why my name is different. That document is on the website, and it also should be linked in the master running document that we have for the subcommittee. But I will send it out after this if it's not.
Yeah,
there
I'd
for some
appreciate
reason.
that.
Yeah, no problem.
So since I have to leave at 4, I think I know what I need to support you guys, but let me know if I'm missing anything. I need to double check to just confirm that whether or not we can do the mailer, if it's going to be too expensive, and if not, then for the survey outreach and for the completion of the final report, which, if I remember correctly, is it possible to do the outreach for those two things together?
Potentially, it's going to depend on the final timeline as it evolves, but that's something that we'd floated. Just to clarify, you said that for the mailers, you haven't gotten confirmation one way or the other if those are possible. You just know that they're more expensive than you anticipated.
Yeah, and it sounds like
correct?
it sounds like we're leaning toward more like it's too expensive. Like it's just from a budgetary standpoint, it's probably not going to make sense unless we really feel like we have to do it.
And
because there's other ways that we can do the outreach to get folks to see the report and take the survey. So,
right. And is it looking like it's not financially feasible just for this project or for like future CUPs? Say if the subcommittee decides that we want to have a mailer sent out at the onset of future CUP projects, is that something that there's potential for?
yeah, we would there's potential. We would assess it on a project by project basis. So it's just I think it's about 12,000, and I guess that's actually a good deal right now. And when I had done them in the past, they had been probably at least $5,000 less than that. So the price has gone up quite a bit.
Well-
But so that's what I need. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna follow up and see if it's possible for us to do some sort of community event like an open house. And I think we should do that. When is the final report due?
I don't have that in front of me.
I have that information somewhere. I can't remember, but my preference would be, if it's possible, would be to highlight the final report and encourage folks to take the survey at the same time. And then just really do a push on that and be redundant and possibly have like an open house event to talk about the report, let folks ask questions, encourage them to take the survey prior to the CUP filing. So my commitment would be to come up with a plan for that. And then my other commitment would be to see if we can do an outreach push for the CUP filing to make the public aware of that. CUP completion to make the public aware of that.
I have a question. So Mary brought up that, oh, now I forgot what I was gonna say in that aspect, but I guess one of my concerns was, or Mary and our concerns, we talked about it when we looked at how the county does notify people. Everything were like the social media or the email, they were things that people had to sign up or initiate following. So is there a way, that's why the mailer was kind of good because it goes to everyone. Is there another way we could do that is maybe cheaper than the mailing, as in maybe like social media ads or something like that? So if we could look at a different way where people don't have to follow and it goes to everyone else, I think was our main concern, at least.
I
for
do
our
actually.
subcommittee.
I'm glad you brought that up because that is a potential alternative. So we could definitely run ads in the local newspapers. And we could definitely run a PSA, at least on our community radio channel. When I said local newspapers, the Advocate, the Gazette Times, the LC Voice, those for sure I know we can do. And then the community radio station in Corvallis is one I know we can do. And then beyond that, it is possible that we could do some more paid advertising. We could run an ad on KEZI, or we could run an ad with Bicoastal Radio. That's going to be expensive too, but it's not going to be as expensive as a mailer. So it could potentially be an alternative to a mailer that would fit our budget better. And Bicoastal Radio and KEZI, we've done ad campaigns with them, and it's pretty effective. Looking at the analytics, we could boost Facebook posts, so there is some stuff we can do that way.
But you could do Facebook ads too, couldn't you?
Yeah.
And
honestly, Instagram is much better for, like, if we're trying to get attention of like millennials, which are actually people in their 30s now. I mean, my kids are in their 20s and 30s. They don't listen to any of those.
So two things.
I mean, I don't. So
that's true.
Older people, yes, because we need older people too.
Well, and two things on that. One is I don't know if Instagram has an ad service. We do have an Instagram account.
They do.
Do they? Okay.
I mean, that's how. So that Portland Bridge project in Multnomah County, that's how they did a lot of their advertising. I know they did other things too.
So I can look into that, and it's possible that we could do ads on both Instagram and Facebook. The problem with Facebook, last time we tried to do an ad like that, it blocked us. Because it was a government ad. So just be aware that it may block. We can try it, and we do have some budget to do that with, and I would be willing to do that. But it may block us, and we can look into Instagram. So those are options. So I think I need to double check on it. But I think that it is an alternative to do some advertising if we can.
Awesome. Thank you. Go ahead, Marge.
Next door too. Because I think you can put an ad on Nextdoor, and lots of people do look at Nextdoor.
Absolutely. Yeah, we can, that's a good point because I mean, we can reach the entire Benton County neighborhood through our channel that way. So definitely we want to use Nextdoor. In fact, I think Nextdoor and our subscriber list are our two most powerful communication channels that we have. Consistently, they get good reach.
Thank you so much, Corey, for coming. I know that you need to head out, but it was valuable updates for us to
Okay.
keep in mind going forward. I don't want to hold you hostage longer than
I appreciate you
your
guys. Thank you
time.
for the work that you're
Thank
doing.
you.
I'm so sorry, Mark. You had a question earlier for Corey that we did not have time to get to. Do you want to bring it up now? I'm happy to reach out to him afterwards.
My only thought was, I know that I get a newsletter from Republic Services all the time, well, regularly. And I was just wondering if they would be open to considering posting the notices in there. Ginger, you would probably know better than anyone. I'm not sure if they have a real standard way they do it or something, but that would be a way to, I think everyone in the county gets that. I'm not sure.
Is it, let me ask you a question, Mark. Is it a newsletter that comes directly from Coffin Butte? Is that?
Nah, well,
Do you think you could, would
I
it be
don't
possible for you to
know.
forward me one? Because it might be, the short answer to your question is yes, that is absolutely something we can do. The longer answer is without seeing it, I don't know which division. I know that sounds like kind of like we're super siloed, but we have local divisions and then we have the corporate headquarters. I don't think it's coming out of corporate where I am. I think it's probably coming out of Coffin Butte. But if anybody has a copy of one of those, I can see it. I do know that one of the things that we had intended to do last year when we were in the middle of the CUP process was create an e-blast list off of our Coffin Butte website, which I did an overall on last year. And we didn't do any of the e-blasts because the county approached us about the Oregon consensus process and asked that we refrain from any community outreach until that process was complete. So we have a bunch of materials that are just sort of sitting there on the website. And so we can definitely utilize that e-blast process as well, which is a digital newsletter. So it's just, we just need to wait for this process to be complete according to what we committed to the county.
Yeah, but I see a problem with that too, which is that I would think if I were a profit-making corporation, I would be tempted to proselytize a little bit on my own behalf with respect to issues like that. And so if you had on part of the newsletter, just a little blurb saying there's a CUP, but then in another column you said, but we need this, it's an urgent thing, your garbage won't be picked up tomorrow unless this goes through, then you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah, because we'd probably do that. I mean,
yeah, I mean,
let me be honest. I wrote the materials heading into the CUP process, and I can tell you all the different ways that I think it's wonderful for everybody in Benton County because I wrote them. So
right,
yes,
right.
I agree that would.
Okay, maybe that wasn't the best idea. Okay.
Well, it is something to
we
consider, though.
Trying to consider how to reach a lot of people, and I do
It
know
is, I think, Mark, I don't think there's any one solution to this. I think there's multiple. And so if there's, I can proselytize all I want, you're going to take that with a grain of salt. But at least if we say, hey, it's coming up, and you hadn't gotten something somewhere else, you can disregard what you don't like in the messaging, but at least you know the date and time and where it is. So,
yeah, but you also know,
I would always argue
field.
on the side of over communicating, no matter what form it takes.
Right.
That's just sort of my personal view.
Louisa, were you going to say something? You were muted before.
I was trying to unmute, it wouldn't work. We had discussed this earlier in this process of having Republic send something, which I think I had mentioned that, but yeah, everybody was concerned, or thought we didn't want it to be biased, I guess, but
Mhm.
I mean, Republic probably has the right to do that regardless, but because it's
They
their
have the right to
newsletter.
proselytize. They don't have the
Yeah.
right to make it, to put a notice out that is from the county.
Correct.
And so
Exactly. That I think was what we were
need
talking about
legal
before. We said
advice
like,
here.
oh, we
You
could
know,
put a
we-
county notice. Yeah.
I think this is
Yeah.
above our pay grade.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
so
would
they
see
could
anything
put
that Republic would do as being probably supplemental to whatever notice the county puts out, because
Yeah.
I quite frankly, I feel like that's the county's responsibility,
Mhm.
to
It is.
its own residents. We can certainly as a company, as a, a business that has a long history in Corvallis and Benton County, commit to making sure that, we put out something before any major meeting or decision or something. But I think the obligation and the onus is probably going to rest on the county, would be my sense.
So
Yeah.
Marge, like you were saying, sorry, I think I talked over you. So Republic Service, we wouldn't want them putting, or they couldn't just send something that the county made to everyone in a mail distributor or something.
Well, it would
They
be
could put
unwise
their own
to.
blurb about it, or a meeting or open house or something like
Yeah.
that. Is that what we're saying?
Well, I don't know the legalities of it. I mean, it just wouldn't be a wise way to do things. But Mark
So,
has it.
yeah, go ahead, Mark.
I just want to say, okay, I think it's pretty clear as our work group operates, we should not go that route. I mean, we can't, Republic has a right to free speech, so there's not an issue there, what they can put out. But let's back out of that idea as something we endorse. It seems like we have pretty good consensus that it's just not the right way for the county to go about it anyway.
And it's not up to us.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
let's hope that I ever brought that up. Well, I mean, it's in the record, and that's fine. But
I mean, the most that the subcommittee could do in that area is put in the recommendations to the county saying, we recommend that you do X, Y, and Z, and reach out to Republic Services and have them notify as well with their outreach. But if you chose to do that, that's really the farthest you could go legally. Republic Services obviously can notify if they want to, how they want to. Does that sound right, Ginger?
It does.
Awesome. Okay, we're going to shift gears. Sorry, I know that discussion took a while. Hopefully it felt really informative to have Corey here. Just FYI, Sam is having technical difficulties and will not be joining us. So if you needed to talk to him, I'm really sorry. He's not going to be here, but you can definitely contact him via email. I would love to share my screen and pull up the agenda, but unfortunately, when I tried to do that earlier, sharing my screen, I had technical issues. So I apologize. Hopefully everybody got my email a couple of days ago with that agenda and they kind of know how we're going to have the meeting run from here. Just confirming everybody got that email. Everyone got the document that Louisa created as well, was linked in that email. Okay, no one objected, so I'm going with yes. Circling back to the email you guys got about 30 minutes before this meeting, the one about the PDFing of the emails, I just want to clarify kind of what that means because the lingo in that email is a little confusing. Essentially, it's the county's way of acknowledging that the FTP sign-on thing for being able to access the emails that are available to the public, which is basically all of them, isn't super user-friendly for the purposes of this work group project. So in response to deciding that the FTP wasn't the best choice, they've decided to PDF all of the emails from the last meeting in December forward. And then from now on, all emails will be PDF'd and posted in a folder on the website. They're prioritizing the most current emails, the ones since that work group meeting, and then they're going to work backwards chronologically, PDFing all emails that have been sent, for meeting, 5, then 4, then 3 for the work group until all of the emails that have been sent throughout this process are PDF'd and put in respective folders that can be accessed from the Benton County Talks Trust Project work page home. Yes, Marge.
Do you know if they are planning to put tabs in these PDFs so that you can go along the side and you can say, oh, this email was received on this date, it was from this person, so that you don't just have a 396-page PDF of run together emails and presentations and blah, 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 blah.
As
but that
far
there
as
are
I know, the
divisions.
process hasn't gotten that that level of detail yet on how it's going to work, at least to my knowledge. I certainly hope there's some form of organization, because you're right, that would be probably less user-friendly than the FTPs if
Well,
it was
and
one
nothing's
massive
less
PDF.
user-friendly than what we have today, which is that you can only access it if you have Outlook, if you're running
Right.
the Outlook client. So it can't get worse, but that wouldn't be a big step in the right direction.
Short answer is I personally have no idea, but as soon as we get that information on exactly how they're going to set up the process
How
and what it's
about
going to
we
look like,
suggest that?
yeah, I can make a note and forward that along to Daniel. Absolutely.
That would be awesome.
You got it. Any other questions, comments about the email PDFing?
Well, so, can I talk? Sorry. So how would it, so it will be in one PDF or a whole bunch of, like, I just wanted, my comment would be, I would like it to be as user-friendly as possible, because supposedly the public, you know, what we've been talking about, the public input's really important. So the committee needs to be able to access it, but also when we have like if we have the open house or some sort of public event, the other public, you know, people in the public would need to access it, because that gives them information too. So just,
Right.
I think it being as easy as possible would be great.
My current understanding is that each email that has been sent will be individually PDF'd and put in like a folder, with organized by date, potentially for the times between each work group meeting. So there'll be, you know, several folders for each of these time periods full of PDFs of all the emails. That's just my understanding of right now. I don't know what it will look like as a final product, if what's going to end up being the most user-friendly for the Benton County staff as they go through in PDF thousands of emails, but I don't believe it's going to be one massive document. That would be odd to me. Okay, we don't have any other pressing questions about that. I'm going to shift us to getting a recap of the subcommittee's process. And actually, I think we'll skip that because we're going to meet again before the next work group meeting. So everybody kind of knows where we are generally. Not a lot has happened since we met last because we had break. From there, I'm going to have us jump into the subcommittee reports, or kind of just updates on where you guys are at. Louisa, you created that awesome document, which really does a lot of that for those tasks. But in the agenda, you saw that breakdown of kind of the individual tasks within each task that we've assigned for these subcommittees and the areas that we want to address. So if someone else can share their screen, mine's giving me trouble. You can get some updates. Marge, where are we at with the creating that history, that timeline?
Okay, so as you said earlier, we are going to just put the existing timeline document that came out from Daniel. That's going to be in the appendix. And we're kind of considering how to do a specific timeline, but we have written a bunch of the history. We have it, we basically have it broken into 4 sections. I sent you an email about this, but I'll talk through it so you can ask questions. And the first section kind of covers just sort of background on the location and aspects of the location and the early history before it was a dump, just on Coffin Butte region and Soap Creek Valley. And that is right now in Joel Geyer's hands because I used some of his material. And I know that the county attorney said that, well, there's, you know, it probably could be used, but we're not going to mess with it. We don't need to. So Joel either signs off on it or I will do the editing that'll make it go anyway. And as soon as that's done, we can send that out for the group to see. Then the second section covers sort of like the history of waste disposal in Benton County generally up until 1983. And we have a complete draft of that. I mean, it's not a final draft, of course. There's things we want to tweak it with, but we have a complete draft, and that's been sent to the committee just before this meeting. The third section is 1983 to about 2010. There's a little bit of, we haven't quite defined our split there, but before the current one. And that's about 2/3 the way through its second edit, I would say, or through its first editing, I guess. And I sent that to the group so they could just see where it's going. And then the fourth section is sort of the contemporary context. And we're still working on that. There's a lot of stuff there that needs to be expressed clearly. So what would be nice is if the committee could at least look at what we've sent and consider whether it communicates well. And certainly if there's things that they think needs to be added in, we're surely open to that. And that's kind of where we're at. But it's moving along. We think that probably the whole first round draft will be due in about within a week.
Nice. Marge, do you have anything to add?
No, I think he did it all. He said it all.
Okay. So it sounds like for a lot of this history, you have sent it to the subcommittee just before this meeting, and it's available for then the group to look over and provide feedback on like the focal concerns and any like additional stuff or thoughts. It's ready for editing, basically.
Make suggestions.
Awesome. And when you were working through and creating these sections, were you keeping in mind some of the like historical and geographic aspects that were touched on at the last work group meeting that were suggested by the work group?
I think so. And let me just say to Ginger is I'm going to go review again the Republic Services thing. Our basic approach though was to kind of like look at how it's been reported in Benton County. That's where we got our basic framework through. But I did pull out, we have some Republic Service stuff explicitly in there. And I couldn't get access to one document that now I have access to. And so I'll be looking through that. And your suggestions from the last meeting, you suggested looking at some sources. Some of them weren't that useful because they kind of cover a lot of stuff and the history is a little bit tucked into the corners, but we're looking at it. And if you have suggestions, there you go. You know how to reach me or us, both Marge and I.
Okay. Does it seem reasonable? I don't know, has anyone been able to look at these documents that Mark has sent out since he sent them?
I mean, I had
No,
a chance to scan them for about 5 minutes, so I don't feel like I've got any kind of due diligence that would allow me to talk about them in an
Okay,
educated
we know
way.
they exist, but that's about
They
it.
exist, right?
Okay, well, our next meeting we need to schedule for next week. I don't know if that feels like too short of a turnaround to be able to look at those and have feedback for Mark and Marge. Is this something that we want to try to have prepared before the next work group meeting? What are people thinking? How many pages are these documents combined, Mark? Give us a rough estimate.
Now they're single spaced. I think when it's all done, I think our target was 12 to 15, and I think it's going to be that. Let me just say though, if you do get a chance to look at things, if you can, what I don't want to do, I don't think Marge and I want to deal with, like, where you start getting multiple copies of the whole thing with markups, as much as I mean, if you feel like, hey, this really needs bad rewriting, okay, that's another thing. But if you're making suggestions, it'd be a little better for us if you just identify specific suggestions. And if you want to email them to us before the next meeting or whenever you get to it, then, you know, we can discuss them and incorporate them or get back to you if we feel like they don't seem to work, which seems unlikely. But so that's how long it'll be, about 15 pages. Then it sort of depends on whether I don't know how busy you people are as far as your chance to reread them. I think you'll get a good sense for the simpler parts of it when you look at what I've sent. Obviously, the last section is the most complex, and we'll put that out as soon as we can. But if we were to meet like next, I don't know what day next week you're talking about, but if it's Monday or Tuesday, you might not have enough time.
And it sounds like you're asking really for just a content edit, Mark and Marge, where people are looking for, is anything missing? Does anything, you know, need to be taken out? Does this have enough evidence? But not the grammar, structure, word choice type of editing.
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
I don't mind being, no, I don't mind grammar. If you want to correct my grammar, I mean, some of it, you know, it's kind of a rough job. You know, I had a lot going on. No, I don't mind that. Certainly spelling. I mean, it makes me look a lot. I don't like anything going forward. Bad.
But from an editing time
I'm a
perspective,
professional.
people don't need to do in-depth.
Yeah, you catch anything you think could be better stated, I can live with that. No, send it back to Marge and I. Yeah, but I guess I wouldn't I don't know. You know, yeah, sure. Especially spelling errors or something, or any factual error.
Yeah, but spell checkers are pretty good these days.
Yeah.
Okay,
but it's true, you know. I mean, you may prefer that something is stated a little differently or something.
Yeah, spell checking can stick in the wrong word. That's the problem.
True. This is true.
So we're open to anything.
okay.
You know, and Marge and I will consult on whatever feedback we get. And if for some reason we feel like something's been included for a purpose, we can bring it up as a group next time we meet. You know, if it's just cleanup stuff, we'll certainly just fix the problem. And but if it's significant and we don't think it works, then we'll bring it to the group.
Okay.
Is that okay, Marge?
Yep, sounds good to me.
Yeah.
So none of things, maybe Sam is joining us. We'll see here. So how do people feel about like roughly a week turnaround, 2 weeks? What do people feel like is an appropriate amount of time to be able to look over these documents and give, you know, content focused feedback to Mark and Marge on what they've produced so far? And there's no wrong answers. It's just what works for you.
Yeah, and I think that you can send emails. I mean, independently of this meeting, you know, I mean, like if you do it tomorrow night, and send it to us right away, you know, we just have a longer time to incorporate it.
Yeah, especially factual corrections.
Yeah.
I mean, it's, you know,
Is
we're trying to be very careful, and hopefully you don't find too many factual errors, but you know, sometimes dates or names are.
Louisa, what were you going to say?
Is it a lot different than what we read for the recent survey? Are the document, is it similar to what we just did that big survey where we had to read everything? Is it a lot different than what you submitted for that?
What did we submit?
Didn't submit anything to that.
This
It's all new.
has been produced since then, Louisa.
Yeah.
So it'll have some of that original material, but it'll also have what they've added since they sent that in.
It's really been totally rewritten, because based on all the discussions that went on regarding Nancy's stuff and everything like that, we decided that we would look at stuff that was there, but we would essentially try to create well, first of all, we're trying to go for a narrative, something that's more readable. I mean, our goal is to be able to, we're writing for the public. And so we wanted to do that. And, but secondly is we didn't want anything to get bogged down by any previous disputes over ownership and other things like that. So it's,
Okay.
but I mean, it's the same history, right? You know, but every time you write history, it's a little different.
Okay, so Louisa, I saw you put in the chat, or look, maybe like 2 weeks feels like a good amount of time, and we can of course adjust if people get into it and then say, oh no, I need a lot more. Ginger Mary, what are your thoughts?
I think
mean,
that sounds good.
reasonable. Yeah,
Okay. Awesome.
it's not, it doesn't make sense to have like a big discussion if we're not all prepared to read it and be familiar with it and things like that, so.
Great. Louisa, if you still have that agenda document pulled up, would be fantastic if you could share your screen. If not, that's okay though. I appreciate you trying to pull it up at all.
I'm working on it.
It's all good. Okay, so just before we get the agenda pulled up, I'm able to look at it in a separate tab. The stuff that Mark, you and Marge have worked on includes that like environmental historical context write-up. You've written the kind of main focal concern narrative, and those were really the big agenda items for your subcommittee report out. Page 15, Louisa. Fantastic. Okay, so other subcommittees working, kind of focusing on the outreach stuff. I know that we already talked about that a little bit with Corey, but you want to give the group kind of just a general update on what we're looking at in these areas, or things you want to run past the group in these areas here. I know a lot of this material you presented in that notes document, Louisa, so I'm sorry for any redundancy.
Yeah, I think right now we're looking to find other examples of communication that other counties have used. So we're kind of trying to find like parallel examples that we can kind of use to mold to our situation to make it as good as possible. So I think that's kind of where we're at right now. I don't know, Louisa, do you have anything to add to that? That's kind of what we have been doing.
Sorry, I'm having a hard time with my mute button today for some reason. So Mary was working on, I don't know if you guys remember, but we did have a table with different recommendations for the notifications. And so I think Mary's been working on filling that in a little more. And then I had put out an email asking about I forgot to mention this to Corey, about the radius of communication, because that's a different, he's using like his timeline, I mean, not timeline, but his outreach plan, but like the radius for notification, how does that fit or overlap with what the county plan is my question. I was just wondering about that, like how we would incorporate that radius of the the 5 mile or the 10 mile or whatever in the county plan. So I could email him, or maybe Amelia could ask him about that, but does that make sense?
I believe so. Sounds like we're wondering how this county's plan, really everything that Corey talked about while he was here earlier, would intersect or could be incorporated with the radius idea that the subcommittee's been working with, because those two aren't necessarily symbiotic at the moment. But that radius is really something that has come up a lot in the subcommittee and is important. So we want to make sure we can combine these two elements. Is that accurate, Louisa?
Yes. Yeah, because the radius idea came from the whatever the stuff we got from legal that talks about
Mhm.
like 150 days and this many feet and of who would be notified. So how does
Right.
that, go along with the county plan? Or can it? That's my question,
Okay.
I think.
We'll be reaching out to Corey about that. I'm happy to send that email and make sure everybody's copied on it. Where are you guys at with sort of developing these draft documents for some of these areas? I know that we already had the table at the last work group meeting, but as far as feeling like you have a complete picture of, all of the past / like the legal standard for communication, or feeling like you have a complete picture of some of these possible methods. Mary, you said that you were working on developing that with looking into what other counties have done to try to make sure you have a more holistic understanding of all of your options for the potential outreach. But what's kind of our status in these different areas?
Well, I would say as far as past communication, I'd say we have a better picture on that than we do on like future, I guess. Because I think one of the main things that we still don't know is we proposed the radius idea of communication, but we're not sure how big that radius should be depending on what the notification subject is. And we try to get input from the work group, but I've heard a bunch of different things that are conflicting. So that's something that we definitely still have to discuss. But I would say I think we're making good progress. That's I don't know, Luisa,
Yeah,
do you
we
have anything to add?
have some of this information, but that's maybe something Mary and I we will work on that before the next meeting, I guess. Could that be, that's probably our next step, is kind of putting together the information that we have worked on. Is that what you're wanting, like more of a started document that we can just be working on as we go along? Is that what you're talking about, Amelia?
Whatever your process is good. I'm sorry. I realize I made that sound really structured when I asked my question.
Well, it's probably good. I
Um,
mean, I was thinking we need to start kind of writing this in a down altogether. So,
really, even if you only have parts of these
yeah,
areas, I was ineffectively trying to ask if there were any of these areas where you feel like you have enough material consolidated that it's at a place where you would like the other subcommittee members to kind of do that content edit as well, kind of like what Mark and Marge are doing. Or if
yeah,
you think that you need a little bit more development to flush out these areas, and then to have people do kind of a content look and present it to the subcommittee. Because we don't
maybe
want
by
to,
the
end up repeating work.
yeah, maybe by the next meeting we would have more.
Yeah, I would say that would be realistic.
Awesome.
Discussion of
Marge, Mark, Ginger, you have any questions, comments, thoughts for consideration on this area of the subcommittee's scope?
No, I don't.
Nope, I think they're doing a great job.
Okay. In that case, we've already talked about the key stuff. We've kind of already recapped some of our priorities. Everyone but Mark and Marge is going to be looking at the documents that Mark sent out and providing that like substantive feedback over the next 2 weeks so we can develop that and get the editing there. And then by our next meeting, Mary Louisa, your hope is to have some of this stuff just consolidated in one place to present to the subcommittee. Is that an accurate recap.
Why don't you, are you still working on that document? If we could see each other's faces, that would be good.
Oh, sorry, Louisa, you don't have to share your screen anymore. Thank you so much for pulling that up though.
You should, I can see everyone's face, but maybe that's just me.
Yeah, I think that's just you. Well, it's not me.
Okay.
There we go. Yeah.
There might be a little.
Were we going to decide on a date for the next meeting?
Yes. I'm sorry, were we supposed to be out of here at 4:30 or 5?
Oh, okay. I
I
thought
think
we were
5 o'clock. Or
Okay. Had a moment there, I was worried that I'd run you guys over. Well, what's a good date for the next subcommittee meeting? You want to continue to do Wednesday evenings at this time?
No worries.
Did you say you wanted 2 weeks to look at the documents? If so, are we suggesting having the next meeting in 2 weeks? That would be the day, a couple of, I guess, the day before our work group meeting.
Mhm. Well, what do people think? Okay,
2 people
Wednesdays are
fine.
hard.
Yeah.
Hey guys, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Hey, this is Sam, obviously. Sorry to be late. I'm on the road and I couldn't pull over because of the traffic. I just wanted to say before you get into this, which is important, I wanted to know if there are any questions or comments or suggestions you all might need for me. And then we can go into, and I'll give Millie a heads up, on the BCTT web page, you will find the calendar in the calendar version of it that you'll need to pull up because we have to coordinate these next meetings and the next draft vis-a-vis that calendar. So it's on the main page of the website, about close to the top. So you can maybe find that before you share the screen. And in the meantime, I'll just take any questions or comments.
So is someone able to pull that up and share their screen, that calendar from the project homepage?
I'll try.
Thank you so much. Okay, questions for Sam? Things we need from him. Things we want to tell him.
I'm
No,
fearful.
no one wants to talk to Sam.
I'm fearful as to what they might want to tell me. Don't ask that question, Millie.
Oh, sorry.
Kidding. Well, let me say a couple of things based on what I heard so far as to the integration of Corey's plan and what you all want to do and the concentric rings and the miles out. You know, God loved Corey, but he's just, one member of this team. And if you have a recommendation that's different than his, Godspeed. Put it out there. I mean, I'm really fine as wine if you all push in the envelope as to more notification on more things in a more timely fashion. So don't feel constrained to reconcile your work product with the default county protocol, because we're talking about, having more communication. That was a defect from a lot of people's perspective last go around.
I agree with that. Okay, so what am I looking for? What's it called?
Let
It
me
should-
see.
Is it called key BCTT dates?
So if you go to
It's
the
not the-
homepage,
it's
there's,
a-
here, I'll put it in the chat and then someone can share it from there if that helps.
Well, I see what the things are. I mean, I'm on the page. I just don't know
Oh.
which, because there's calendar, there's
Pull up the
work plan,
calendar.
calendar, key dates.
Work plan
Okay, that's what I
calendar.
have. Okay.
Sorry about that.
Oh, let's see.
Sam, is there any other clarification you want to make about Corey's contribution or some of the other things we've discussed during the meeting so far?
That was the main piece I heard was the tail end of that. I wasn't on for any of the call when Corey was present with you.
Okay, thank you
But I
so
guess-
much for sharing this. Mhm.
Is that what you wanted? There's also one that's very complicated with all these different steps and stuff. I didn't know if that was
Yes,
the one.
there's a Gantt chart, which some people really like.
Oh my
For
gosh.
those who don't, this is a calendar view. They're the identical document. We'll pull up the calendar for readability. Sorry, what were you going to say, Sam?
So on the calendar, if you have that up on the screen,
We do.
scroll down to today, and you will see that as promised yesterday, I sent out and you received it last night, this morning, the rough draft of the full report. Then you will see that between now and next week, there are subcommittee meetings that are designed to take the current work product and, as scheduled, which is aggressive, next Thursday, send out a draft, updated draft to the full work group, so they have roughly a week to review that in anticipation of the January, I can't remember, is it the 16th or 19th meeting? And so,
19th.
of the 19th meeting. So we really need a subcommittee meeting of this group next week and the week after. Next week to hopefully get that document in as best shape as we can, so that what the whole work group sees is a step forward in its advancement. So using the history piece as an example, it may well be, depending on the feedback you all are going to provide, that we simply take the margin mark document as submitted this afternoon, add that to the report, and say, this is a first draft. The subcommittee is still vetting it, but that gives them an opportunity to see it looks like. And then to the extent the following week, the week of the meeting, you can land the plane or get more clarity, we'll update it again. Because at the end of the January meeting, we are turning around the draft that goes to SWAC and the Planning Commission to comment on. And so, and if we get track change versions, and as far as track changing it, everyone should just track change the Marge Mark document, send it around to everyone else, and then Millie will put together a combined document. And if that's what we have to show the full work group by next Thursday or Friday, that's what we'll show them. There's no harm in that at all. To show just, our work is evolving and we're being transparent about where the issues are. And then to the extent there are, go ahead.
Oh, Sam, I think that Mark and I would prefer it if we were in control of that document.
Well, then you do it. Then send it to you guys, and as long as it's in track changes,
That's
so
what we've
everyone
been
else can
asking
see.
for. We're asking the
Great.
subcommittee to send us feedback. And
Great.
and people wanted 2 weeks, but you're saying there just isn't time for that. We need to have a meeting
think-
next week and then
That's
So-
perfect. So
Yes.
schedule next week's meeting, and then I'll talk about the meeting right before the work group meeting.
Okay, so just to clarify with that history document, Sam is suggesting that people provide feedback, as they can. Mark and Marge can, combine the different track changes from the different subcommittee members on their document. And then as of the, looks like the 10th, submit just whatever they have to be what we show the full work group. And with the disclaimer that it's still being edited. And people in the subcommittee can still be providing feedback on that document, just like the people from the work group will do in general.
Correct.
Okay, so now looking at this span of time we have, it's that yellow highlight. I see Louisa, you put in the chat Monday, Tuesday, Thursday after 5 or after 4 on Friday. What times are we thinking based on this? People can shout out their availability or put it in the chat.
Monday or Tuesday would be fine with me.
Okay,
Mondays are better than Tuesdays for me.
Mondays are better. Mary Ginger, Looking
Either day
at
works
the
for me as long
9th.
as it's after like 4 on Monday.
okay.
What did Ginger say?
Ginger, do you
I
have
had
a
to get on a
preference?
different call, so I just missed the last 2 minutes here.
Oh, sorry about that. We
No,
are
no.
just looking at the part in yellow, trying to pick a date. Looks like Monday after 4. That's the 9th. Seems to work for a lot of folks. Does that work for you?
So I will tell you the only day that I cannot do is Monday the 9th, and it's just this particular Monday because my TCU Horned Frogs are in the college national championship, and therefore I will not be doing
Frogs.
anything except watching that game, which starts at 4:30. So that's the only one I can't do.
Sam, do you have thoughts?
Well, my thoughts are you're going to have to look at my calendar because I have 4 other subcommittee meetings and I don't want them to overlap like this time.
Yeah. Yeah, I have it pulled up. Looks like the CUP one meets till 5. Can folks do after 5 on Monday the 9th?
Ginger can't.
Well,
Yeah, it's not that I'm ignoring you. I will physically be at the game, so
Oh,
I
nice.
Either
will not
way.
be worthwhile.
Good for you.
Well, we're just going to have to go with the majority because nothing's going to be finalized. We just
Mhm.
have to make progress so the whole work group can see the current draft.
Okay. So I'm penciling in 5 to 7:30 on Monday, January 9th. Because that's the best that we got.
Not 5 to 7:30, not 2.5 hours, unless you guys think you can.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
I mean, 1.5 hours, I think would be fine.
5
Yeah,
to
me too.
6:30. I misspoke. Didn't mean to give folks a heart attack there. Mary Louisa, do you think that you'll be at a place with the documents you're working on, even if they're still being developed, but compiled enough that they can be put into the draft report, and then at that point also have people in the subcommittee provide feedback? I feel like we'll be
If
ready.
I don't know what Mary's schedule is, but I could work on it on Sunday. That's the only. So I could probably take whatever we've each been working on and just put it into one document pretty easily. So we'll
Yeah,
have
I can work on it
something.
too.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Okay, what other questions, comments, things that we want to discuss here about the tasks going forward, about scheduling, about our subcommittee's timeline, about the timeline of this project in general, really just what the picture looks like going forward?
Well, consistent with that, we should schedule the meeting for the week after, and I will tell you what the main focus of that meeting is. It is to dot any I's and cross any T's, and then it is to figure out your 45-minute, roughly, presentation to the work group. So, for instance, because I've just read the email, some of the email traffic, the various radii for notifications. You might tee up that issue and pick the top, I'm making this up, the top 5 issues that you would like full work group member feedback on, and say, so what do you think of it? I don't remember the 2 mile, the 3 mile, the 5 mile, whatever, and actually ask them and see if they could help, provide insight that will then, when you meet again, you'll be able to figure out. So those are the 2 things, dot I's on the report and prepare your presentation for that Thursday.
And Sam, are you talking about the week before the next work group meeting, but when the work group members are looking at the draft report?
Yes.
Okay.
So the 15th, 16th, right in there, that period of time. So not next week, but a week from this coming Monday or Tuesday.
Well, then does the 16th work for people? The frogs will have won and won't be playing. And does that Monday suit?
The 16th, fine.
That Monday is MLK Day for what it's worth.
That's true. Would the 17th be preferable?
I can make either work.
Yeah, I
Mary,
can make
Mark?
either one. I could do either one.
Either is fine. Either is fine with me.
Are we talking 5 o'clock or 3:30?
Let's see, we're looking at the 16th and 17th. Pull up Sam's calendar. If we do Martin Luther King Day, there could be either time. If we do Tuesday, then we would need to start the meeting no earlier than, looks like 4:30. That impact people's availability? No? Does anyone have a preference for one of those 2 days?
Is the second option a Tuesday or a Wednesday?
The Tuesday.
Oh, okay. I can do either one as long as it's, like after 3:30 or something. So both of those are fine.
Okay. Sam, I guess it's really your call then, if you want to
I
do it
mean-
on Martin Luther King Day or after.
Sorry, I forgot. So Monday I can do it after 4. I have appointment 3
Okay.
to 4. Other than that, and then Tuesday I can do after 3.
Yeah, I really will defer to what the group wants to do on Monday or Tuesday. It just has to be after those other already scheduled subcommittee meetings. And I don't need much of a break in between, if any.
Alrighty, folks, we need to make a decision. Show of hands. Monday? Voting for Monday. It's MLK Day.
It might take me
Okay.
5 minutes to find my hand. I'm fine
Oh,
with,
just you can raise your physical hand. I can see you.
oh, okay, I'm fine with
You
either.
can just wave. Okay, Tuesday.
What time
Anybody
on
feeling
Monday?
So Monday, really anytime after 4.
At or
Monday?
after 4, right?
Yes. All right,
Let's do
Monday
4
it is.
o'clock on Monday.
Okay, great. 4 o'clock on Monday.
Thank you for
That
making a
is
decision,
Way to
Mark.
go, Mark.
Yes.
Yeah.
Way to go,
Way to step
Mark.
up there.
Do your
Appreciate
shit,
that.
Mark.
All right. Anything else for the good of the order?
Millie,
No,
keep
we're-
them another 3 minutes because we bill by the hour. So make sure you get that 3 extra minutes of billable time.
Okay. I'll recap the meeting. How
Uh-huh.
about that?
Okay. No.
So no.
Yeah,
No, I'm
I'm
just kidding.
bailing.
I do just want to confirm the emails that we're going to send, reaching out to Daniel, I believe, about questions about those emails and like how that's going to be organized. And then we're also having Samurai send an email to Corey asking about combining the radiuses with the county's plan. Is there anything else that we need additional information from county staff that I could get the ball rolling on? Going once, going twice. Okay, you can always email me afterwards. In that case, if nobody else has anything that they want to share, everybody feels really good about what the tasks that they're going to work on until next week, we can call it a night with a whole 2 minutes to spare.
Okay.
Thank you all very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks.
Bye.
Oh,
Louisa, did you?
yeah, actually, I had a good, can you say the dates and time again for our next meetings really quick?
Yes, and you will get an invite as well. But our next
Oh,
meeting
okay,
is going
okay.
to be, do you want me to read them anyway? Next one's Monday, January 9th from 5 to 6:30.
Well, I mean, we have other comment. We have so many emails that I can't find
Yes.
them.
So Monday, January 9th from 5 to 6:30. And we have Monday at January 19th.
January 16th.
16th, I'm sorry, yes, 16th, from 4 to 5:30. Thank you, Marge.
Okay.
All right.
Thank
Hope
you.
y'all have a
Bye.
bye.
Bye.